All right, let's talk about data science. You've heard this term thrown around everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? It's one of those buzzwords that sounds super important, but can be, kind of confusing. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and get to what it's really all about. Let's get into it.
So first things first, we got to talk about the confusion. Why can't anyone seem to agree on one single definition? Well, a huge part of it is that the field is just constantly changing. It's not set in stone.
I mean, it's the big question, isn't it? And it's a totally fair one to ask. The honest answer? Because data science is so new and it's just exploded in popularity, even the experts are still kind of figuring out the exact edges. They're debating where the line should be drawn.
Yeah, and this really hits the nail on the head. Since the term is so young, it gets tossed around as a marketing buzzword. That creates a ton of hype. And with hype comes controversy because you've got experts from all these different areas. We're talking statistics, computer science, you name it, all saying, hey, that's our turf. So it's really no wonder things feel a little fuzzy.
Okay, so how do we make sense of it all? Let's try to build a clearer picture together. To really get what data science is, you have to see it as a puzzle. It's not just one single piece. It's a bunch of different skills all fitting together.
At its absolute core, this is probably the clearest definition you'll get. Data science is all about a set of principles for extracting knowledge from data. Think of it as the science of finding the story, the hidden patterns, the aha moments that are buried deep inside a mountain of raw information.
And this right here is so important. It's not just one thing. It really is a whole package deal. You can't just be good at, say, stats, and suddenly you're a data scientist. And it works both ways. A biologist using data tools isn't a data scientist, just like a data scientist working with biological data doesn't magically become a biologist. It's its own unique field, a combination of all the necessary parts.
So what's in this package? Well, take a look. It's a true mashup of different fields. You've got statistics, which brings in the math and the rigor. You've got computer science for, building the tools and handling huge amounts of data. Then there's machine learning for making predictions, and even stuff like visualization to make all those complex findings easy for anyone to understand. It's this specific blend that gives data science its power.
All right, so we get it. It's a package of a bunch of different skills. But so what? What's the big deal? Why does it matter? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about how this stuff is used to solve actual, real-world problems.
This, right here, is the answer. Data science lets us tap into the incredible potential of all the data we're creating every single day. It gives us the tools to tackle some really tough societal challenges and super complex problems.
Let me give you a concrete example. Think about something like optimizing how hospital beds are used. This is a massive issue. When a hospital runs out of beds, it's not just a scheduling headache. It can literally be a life or death situation.
So what does a data scientist do? How do they approach this? Well, they'd start by diving deep into years of historical patient data. They're looking for patterns, right? Maybe they see how patients are categorized, or they spot trends in when beds are most in demand. By doing that, they can pinpoint a gap or a major problem in the way things are currently done. And bam! Based on that insight, they can come up with a whole new strategy for allocating beds that's backed by actual data.
That hospital example is great for showing the outcome, the big picture impact. But what about the actual process? What does a data scientist do day to day? Let's break down the workflow and the one skill that, honestly, is the most important of all.
Okay, so here's the typical workflow. First, you've got to collect the data. Then comes the not-so-glamorous part, cleaning it. And trust me, real-world data is always messy. After that, you integrate it, analyze it, visualize your findings, and finally, you present what you found. It's a whole journey, taking you from a jumble of raw numbers to a clear, actionable insight.
But, beyond all that technical stuff, this is the secret sauce. This is what separates the good from the great. It's not enough to just handle huge amounts of data. The most important thing is that a data scientist needs to be able to tell a story. They have to transform all that complex analysis into a narrative that people can actually understand and use to make decisions.
And that idea of storytelling brings us to our last big point, and maybe the most important one. Data science is more than just a job title. It's more than a toolkit. It's really a mindset, a whole new way of looking at the world and tackling problems.
Because here's the thing, being able to extract useful knowledge from data, that should be seen as a key strategic asset. Seriously, the ability to look at any problem and think, how could data help solve this? That is an unbelievably valuable skill to have, no matter what you do for a living.
When you start thinking this way, with a data analytic mindset, you start to see things differently. You can spot opportunities that other people just don't see.
You start to naturally think about how data could fix a problem, or you'll come up with new ideas for making data-driven decisions. You can even see competitive threats before they happen.
And hey, don't think that all this new generative AI stuff makes this skill any less important. In fact, it's the total opposite. Now more than ever, we need that human element, that critical thinking and storytelling to guide these incredibly powerful AI tools. We need people who can make sure the insights they generate are actually sound.
So I'll leave you with a question to think about. What problem around you could be solved with data? Look around, at your job, in your community, maybe even in your own life. Now that you have this way of thinking, what's a problem you see that could be tackled, or at least better understood, if you just had the right data?